Well, you guys sure seem to like these Gameshark code videos, so here's another, and this time we're looking at Ocarina of Time, widely regarded as one of the greatest if not the greatest game of all time. Now let's mess it all up. Before taking a look at any codes though, I feel like I should share just how hard it was to get these codes working. Firstly, to have Ocarina of Time work for the version of the Gameshark I had, you have to insert a different game into Gameshark's cartridge slot when you turn it on, then select a key code you need from the menu, then turn the console off and swap the cards before you can get it to work. The worst part is, I had to do that every single time I swapped out codes. Anyway, let's take a look at the first code, and my personal favorite, the moon jump. Like in Mario 64, you can use it to infinitely ascend in the sky, although it's a bit less useful here, since in a game like this, most of the distance you travel is horizontal, rather than vertical. It does completely break the game though, and I love using it to reach places and see places you couldn't before. It's also pretty easy to get out of bounds with, so it's a good thing that you can fall and respawn. Then there's this code. It transforms the game's graphics into a super pixelated, distorted version, almost looking 16-bit. I like how it looks like opponents standing in the air, how thin those trees look, and how the river looks to be in a different spot than it actually is. Another code corrupts the game's graphics even more, making everything super jagged. I really love how a temple looks, and Link kind of looks like Gru at times. And then there's another code that makes Link smaller. As an adult, he's about as big as he was as a child. And as a child, he's like 2 feet tall. The only problem with it is how everything is smaller, not just Link, so it's kind of hard to tell how small Link has become. Now we have probably the strangest one I ran into. This one makes a text on a file select screen Japanese, and during gameplay, the text on the A button is enlarged and cut off. Oh, and the game also freezes when you pause it, so overall, this is probably the most useful code in this whole video. On the opposite side of things, here's a cheat that makes you invincible, with Nehru's love enveloping Link at all times. So if you ever wanted to make the game totally effortless, give it a try. And maybe add the moon jump code on top of it too, although it might crash the game. I don't know, I didn't try both at once. Alright, now let's get back to useless cheats. Do you hate rupees? I know I sure do, so how about a code that deletes your whole rupee count? In fact, it starts even before the game begins on the title screen, or at least a sound effect plays. Your rupee count goes down and down, when once it reaches 0, you can't collect anymore, so it most likely just sets your rupee count to 0 permanently, and going down is just for show. Another cheat I really don't get is the infinite hover boots. It's a cool concept I guess, but what ruins it is how you have to press L and R at the same time to stay in the air. The problem is that R is your shield, so to stay in the air you're stuck unless you activate and unactivate your shield and while taking small steps forward I guess, but who would even want to do that? Just use the moon jump if you want something like this. Let's get back to some visual ones though. And what's a Gameshark code video without one that could potentially give someone a seizure? At least this time, not only do the graphics flash rapidly, but it's really colorful. But like usual, I'm slowing down the footage just in case. A better cheat though makes the game's polygon count plummet. It looks like what I'd think Ocarina of Time would look like if it was made 10 years earlier, at least if it was made for like super powerful computers in the 80s, I guess. Kinda reminds me of those super early days of CGI, I guess, that's what I'm trying to say. If you've ever wanted to play the Japanese version of Ocarina of Time, but don't want to buy a Japanese copy, well, with a Gameshark, you can actually play the Japanese version of the game on a North American copy. It's cool to see the minor differences, like Link's pose in the pause menu. And a cheat code I think most people will probably check after watching this video spawns an R-Wing in the Lost Woods. It's way smaller than I thought it'd be, and you can actually take it down with your slingshot. As I've heard, this R-Wing was used in early game testing, but it's a shame that they didn't include it as an Easter egg in the actual game. And to top things off, let's go for the greatest and most useful cheat code of all, one that replaces the Master Sword with a fishing rod. Not only does it replace your previously greatest weapon with a useless tool, but it also corrupts the B button icon from time to time, and even locks the game up sometimes because why not? To be honest though, the codes I found for Ocarina of Time weren't as strange or bizarre or fun as Super Mario 64's, which is kind of disappointing. Oh well, still fun though, but if you guys liked it, be sure to stick around, and maybe next time we can look at some weird cheat codes for another N64 game, maybe Majora's Mask. And with that, I'm out of here, and I'll see you all later.